What's going on, everybody? It is the Tour Junkies, and this is Tour Junkies After Dark, presented by DraftKings. Thanks for checking out the video. We are going to break down the CJ Cup for you right here. I'm David Barnett, Pat Perry. We are the Tour Junkies. We just recorded our own podcast, and what we do is we come off of that, we come here, we talk about a couple names we disagreed with, but we didn't really have a whole lot of time to get into it. So we're going to debate those two names, and then we're going to talk through some of the sports betting offers over on DK Sportsbook for the CJ Cup at a brand new golf course that a lot of people haven't seen before now, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a good tournament. We're going to have a good show tonight, Pat. Me and you showed up wearing the same shirt today, so I don't know. Maybe that means our picture is going to be really good or really bad. If everyone would hit the thumbs up button here on the video, subscribe to the channel here on DraftKings if you haven't already, we would appreciate it. Pat, tell us about Shadow Creek, man. It is a beautiful golf course in Las Vegas, brand new host site for the CJ Cup, but it is a dime to look at. If this golf course were a female, she would be, think of like Kelly Kapowski in the 90s. You know,
yeah, it's a Kelly Kapowski course for sure.
Designed by Kelly Kapowski.
Shadow Creek is fantastic. If you're wondering where you might, you're thinking, I know I've heard this course before. I know I heard that they played some tournament here. Well, they played the Tiger Woods versus Phil Mickelson matchup here a few years ago. The big paid for. I don't know. Was it a pay-per-view event? I can't remember.
Yes,
but it was a big event.
It
was a big match play event here at Shadow Creek. It's a beautiful course. Par 72, playing just over 7,500 yards. 78 players this week, and there is no cut. Okay? So that's important.
No
78 players, no
Small
cut.
field, no cut.
You don't have to worry about that this week. This is a Tom Fazio design. It's an immaculate course in great condition. You got foliage everywhere, water everywhere. Actually, water comes in, as far as hazards are concerned on 9 holes, it's in play. But it's not like what you would typically see with a desert-style golf course. You got Bermuda grass from tee to green, so that's something you want to look at. But the greens themselves are bent grass, and they are quick. And they've got a lot of contour, a lot of slope to them. Fazio kind of wanted that sort of Augusta National feel to this course. You see that a lot, not just on the greens, but also off the fairways. There's a lot of slopes there. So I think that's important to look at. But it's still going to be a course that these guys should score on. I think it's going to play very easy this week. They want it to be exciting. They don't want it to be a boring type week on tour where it plays all that tough. So I definitely want to look at your scoring stats. I want to look at par 5 scoring. When you get a par 72 like this, when you get 4 par 5s, all of them except for one are pretty much reachable and you can score on. I think that's important. You want to look at par 5 scoring. I'm looking at distance for some part because, it always plays a factor. But there is some elevation out here. So some of your shorter hitters are going to come into play a little bit, but I'm going to be kind of picky, choosy when I get to my guys that – you like that word, picky, choosy? Sure. When I come to some of the guys that I'm looking at.
That's a good, near midnight word after a few drinks. It's a great –
That's what happens there.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's we'll see. Great course. Looking forward to seeing it this week. I'm probably going to be betting more on the DraftKings Sportsbook than I am playing as far as my bankroll is concerned, fantasy golf. I think betting makes more sense this week. I'm going to probably dial it back from a fantasy standpoint. But either way, it's going to be a fun week and a fun tournament to watch, and we got a great field, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think you're dead on about the course playing a little easier. Going to have a lot of birdies and eagles over 4 days with these guys getting a chance at 4 par 5s, a short par 4 at elevation. Yeah, this is going to be a birdie fest. So I'm really targeting for DFS purposes, DraftKings scoring, distance, par 5 scoring, strokes gain approach, putting on bent grass. And of course, for DFS purposes, ownership is a big deal. You're definitely, since it's a shorter field, there are some big names here. You're going to have some names where ownership is condensed and you're going to have to eat chalk. That's okay. You just can't eat chalk throughout your lineup. You've got to have 2 to 3 names or more, where you feel like you have a significant edge on the field. But you got to plant your flag up top with some of these big names. And it's tough to fade a lot of these big names. The big names that are here, they deserve to be here. They're here for a reason. So it's tough to do. This is one of those events where people have to qualify to get here. This is an invitational kind of field, top 60 in the FedEx Cup standings at the end of last year, plus some sponsors exemptions get in. That means not all these guys are used to being here. So I think it means a lot to a lot of players. Let's get to it, Pat. Give me a name. Hit me with somebody that you disagree on. Somebody I mentioned on the podcast that you're not too fond of.
Well, a guy that you can't ever not mention, and I get it, but Hideki this week.
I didn't mention him last week for the Shriners. I avoided him last week. Everybody's like, oh, God, how is David going to stay away from Hideki?
That doesn't matter.
This is the cut. I'm the Hideki whisperer. Hideki whisperer.
No, you're not.
You just said I never avoid him. I literally freaking avoided him like 6 days ago.
Well, yeah, but that was like the only time ever. So I just
the only time he's missed a cut in a long time.
And he didn't play. Like the only thing he did good last week was putting. Lost strokes on approach, lost strokes off the tee, lost strokes tee to green. I mean, literally did nothing really that well and then missed a cut. And he putted well. So you obviously know he's probably going to revert back to the mean of being a bad putter. And then you got all those other things that are terrible itself. I'm not supposed to cuss him. Anyway, I just don't get why you can play Hideki this week. I mean, he's in the no-cut event. I don't see a ton of upside there with Hideki. I need to hear why you why I need to play Hideki in my fantasy lineups. Not why I bet him, but why I play him in my fantasy lineups.
I can give you so many reasons, okay? First of all, I am the Hideki whisperer. I've been on Hideki for weeks now. But prior to last week when I did not mention him and everybody was like tweeting us, "Oh my God," well, it's because I wasn't really feeling it for last week. But prior to that, 17th at the U.S. Open, 15th at the Tour Championship, 30-man field event, whatever. 3rd at the BMW Olympia Fields, brutal golf course. 29th at the Northern Trust, 22nd at Harding Park for the PGA, 20th at the St. Jude, 22nd at the Workday, missed cut at Memorial, 21st at Rocket Mortgage. The guy's been incredible. He's been a top 30, top 20 machine, okay? That's what he is. He's Decky bot. He has not missed 2 cuts in a row since 2016, Pat. Do you know the last time that he has lost strokes in off the tee, approach, and around the green categories, those 3 tee to green categories? You know the last time that he's lost strokes in all 3 of those? January 2015. I mean, what was like milk like $1 a gallon in January 2015? That feels like forever ago. That feels like forever ago. Following his last 3 missed cuts, the very next tournament after a missed cut, you know what he's done? No worse than T21. Hideki is a bounce-back machine. It was his first event in almost a month, coming off the U.S. Open where he finished 17th. He hits the Shriners. He goes to Vegas. He's like, let me get a little warm-up here. Let me play a little roulette. Let me maybe show up to the golf course. Oh, let me not gain strokes with my irons, which is rare. Let me suck it up really bad off the tee, which is rare, and miss a cut. Oh, well. Here he is, though, had a couple off days, got his bearings, shook the rust off. I think this is a great spot for Hideki. And he checks boxes other than that, man. He's 23rd in this field in DraftKings points scored over the last 24 rounds, 8 in strokes gained approach over the last 24 rounds. And I think he's going to take a dip. He was 21% owned at the Shriners last week for GPPs. I think he's going to be around 10%. A lot of people are going to play the studs up top. And I like the studs and duds approach. Don't get me wrong. I like that approach this week. But this low 9, 8K range is going to be very overlooked, and that's going to be Hideki at 9,200. You don't have to sweat him missing a 5-footer to save par on the last hole on a Friday. You get 4 days. Give me Hideki all day long. I think I just made a very convincing argument. In the comments here on the YouTube channel, Tell us, are you for Hideki or against Hideki? Hideki 2020, Hideki no go. What are you for? Pat, I have to come at you for one of your plays in the 7K range, and that is Gary Woodland.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I like Gary. Nice guy, U.S. Open winner in 2019. But this is what I don't like about Gary Woodland. You come to a birdie fest where you get 4 days. Everybody's guaranteed 4 days. There's going to be plenty of birdies, a lot of points scored. Especially in DFS, it's tough to differentiate your lineups. You got to have low-owned players. You got to have and the players you have got to be scoring. It's not enough just to get 6 of 6 through the cut. This is not a let me get my cut maker lineup built. This is let me get my scorers lineup built with some ownership leverage. And Gary just doesn't score. In this limited field of 78 players, 8 of which are people you've not even heard of, he is 45th in the field in DraftKings scoring over the last 24 rounds. And historically, he's not a great scorer. Despite being a bomber, despite being, a guy who people think of as, a big player, he's not a scorer. And, he's pretty inconsistent. He's been pretty inconsistent since the restart. Yes, he's got a couple top 10s, but he's also got a couple missed cuts. He's got 3 missed cuts since the restart. It's just not pretty. I don't get the Gary Woodland love. And I also don't like this price range that he's in. I'd rather go down and play the cheaper 7K guys and avoid Gary altogether.
Well, see, I actually do like the price range for Gary Woodland. I think 7,700 is a good price for him. If he was higher, I probably wouldn't even look at him. But you look at the stats, checks a box in approach. He checks the box in par 5 scoring, also in driving distance. As we know, he can freaking bomb it off the tee, and opportunities gained. So if you're looking at a guy who can score, he can certainly do that this week, and nobody's going to play him. Everybody is off Gary Woodland. Nobody wants to play him. His ownership is going to be extremely low. That is one of the biggest things that I look at in a field where you have no cut, because you have there's no other levers there. So you've got to take a guy that nobody's on. Everybody may want to fade, and I think Woodland's going to be the guy that everybody wants to fade this week, and I will play him. I think that, look, I get 4 rounds, so I don't have to worry about him making the cut. I get a guy that if he does catch fire, even though he hasn't been playing good, I will give you that. Hasn't been playing good in a lot of events lately. But this is a whole different course. Everything's like it's like a reset event for him. Okay, so he can play well on this course. He can score on these par 5s, and I like that for him. And so I think that you're getting a great player with low ownership, and you have that advantage over the field when it comes to tournament plays on DraftKings. So I don't even see it's a risk. But that's what you're wanting to take this week. I will take a risk.
I'd rather take a risk somewhere else
with a lot of guys this week. And
I'd rather take a risk with somebody who scores, who scores DraftKings.
He scores.
Points. No, he doesn't.
Scores.
I just gave you the facts. No, he doesn't. I just gave you the facts. He does not score.
No, maybe he hasn't lately, but he's still look. All right, so let's look at this stat that you don't like to look at, but opportunities gained. What does that mean? That means you're giving yourself a chance to score a birdie on a lot of holes. He is top 13, and he's 13th in the field. That means he's giving himself a chance at birdies. Now, maybe he's not converting those.
Bingo. He's not converting. He can't putt.
But he can do that any week. Golf is so he can do that any week in golf.
He's 48th in the field in putting on bent grass over the last 100 rounds. He's not going to do it.
That's fine. I get. I'm just saying, Gary Woodland is a great low-owned tournament play this week. I like him this week. So there you go.
Agree to disagree.
Let's talk DraftKings
Sportsbook. Let's talk outrights to start. We talked about this on the podcast. We both agree we can move quickly through this one. The shortest number that we like is Matt Wolff at 22 to 1. If he's still at 22 to 1 as you're watching this video, I would pause this video. Go ahead and place your bet on DraftKings Sportsbook now before the line gets shortened. Matt survived his first week in Vegas last week for the Shriners. He didn't do anything crazy. Apparently, he didn't get stranded on a rooftop of some hotel somewhere because he's some young handsome kid in Las Vegas. He finished runner up. Could have won in the playoff bombs it, scores, confident. Love Matt Wolff. 22 to 1. Easy bet there. If I'm looking at the more mid-range numbers for me, love Louis Oosthuizen. I've been riding hot Louis for a while now, and I still love him. The guy nearly won the U.S. Open, could have won the U.S. Open. He's in impeccable form, literally checks every single possible box that you could begin to think of checking in terms of ball striking, scoring, checks them all. So I think Louis at 45 to 1 is a safe bet. I just think it's a very smart bet, and I can't see that number staying there. I think it's going to slip to 35, maybe 40 to 1 by the time they tee off on Thursday. I'll save one for you that I also know we agree on, but I'll go a little bit longer. I'm going to go to my boy Siwoo Kim. I keep riding the Siwoo Kim train as well. Siwoo Kim loves to score. He's fourth in the field in DraftKings points scored. He's aggressive. He makes a lot of birdies. He makes a lot of eagles. He checks the box in strokes gained off the tee, par 5 scoring, coming off a T8 finish at the Shriners last week in Vegas. Putts his best on bent grass surfaces, and he's a PGA Tour winner at 90 to 1 in a field where probably 60 players have a legitimate chance of winning. Why would you not take the value on Siwoo Kim? And then I'll save my triple-digit picks. I'll let you go ahead. Give me all your picks, and then I'll end it with the triple-digit numbers for me.
Okay, so I will start with, like you said, Matthew Wolff is definitely, I agree, the shortest guy. I like Daniel Berger at 33 to 1. I think he's a good pick there. I like Joaquin Niemann at 66 to 1. He's a guy who's been extremely solid lately. He's his recent form is good. He checks all the boxes when it comes to stats, so I like that as well. Bubba Watson at 70 to 1. I mean, are you freaking kidding me? I mean, Bubba Watson has, this is a great course for him. We know he likes that Augusta Field type course. So I think at 70 to 1, he's a good number there. Looking a little bit further here. Well, I don't know. I think I'm going to go beyond what you said. The wild pick here, I'm going to go at 250 to 1, Tom Hoge. There you go. Last pick for me. So I like all of those guys 101 and in, like Bubba, Niemann, Berger, and Wolff. But then I'm going to go all the way to Tom Hoge at 250 to 1. You give me your guys, and then we can be done.
Well, I like Hoge in DFS. He's very cheap, near min price. I like Hoge as a top 10 bet. He's 14 to 1 currently on DK as a top 10. That's an interesting number for him. Wouldn't bet him outright. My long shot outright bets are going to be Keegan Bradley. I'm going to start with Keegan Bradley. Listen, horrifying player in DFS. Absolutely horrifying player to play. Up and down. He's a hitter. He's a boomer bust guy, but he nearly won just a couple of weeks ago. He's a bomber. He's a scorer. No cut event. Don't have to worry about Keegan totally tanking your lineups like he does. 125 to 1. I'll take it. Another name at 125 to 1 is a PGA Tour winner named Corey Connors, the Canadian ball striking machine. Just needs to putt. If he just gets a hot week with the flat stick, he's going to contend. It's not going to be an issue. You got pure bent grass greens here at Shadow Creek. Bent grass greens roll true. They roll pure. They're you get the read right. They're going to do what you think they're going to do. They're not confusing. There's not a lot of variability to the read when you're looking at bent grass greens. Bad putters can putt well on bent grass. Corey Connors is an incredible ball striker, PGA Tour winner, top 25s, top 15s in his recent events. Bet him at 125 to 1. I think is a decent number. Finally, my favorite long shot at also 125 to 1 is another Canadian, Mr. Mackenzie Hughes. We saw Mr. Mackenzie Hughes nearly win the Corrales a couple weeks ago, finished 14th at East Lake, played pretty well, finished 10th at Olympia Fields for the BMW, 13th at the Northern Trust. He hits it a long way, scores on par 5s, makes a ton of birdies, is a great putter, putts well on bent grass. He's 21st in this field in strokes gained putting on bent grass over his PGA Tour career. Love Mackenzie Hughes at 125 to 1. He's confident. And I think Hughes, Connors, Keegan, those three guys are three guys that have won on tour, that have competed in big events. They all hit it a long way, all good ball strikers. And they're guys that come into this event this really means something. Like, this means more to a guy like that than it does to Dustin Johnson or a Matt, even at this point, probably Matt Wolff. Like, it's just an event that they rarely get in, if ever, because they're rarely in the top 60 of the FedEx Cup. And they don't get into a lot of limited field, no cut events where, full FedEx Cup points are on the line. A lot of money can be made. And I just feel like it means a little extra to them. And sometimes just that little extra motivation, especially in a city like Vegas, is going to count for something. So give me those 3 long shots at 125 to 1. Let's call it a day. Let's call it a night. TJ After Dark, presented by DK Sportsbook. We appreciate everybody watching. In the comments, are you for me or are you against me? I love Hideki. Pat thinks I'm ridiculous. I am the Hideki Whisperer. You can all thank me later. Tell us what you think in the comments. May your screens be green. See ya.
Oh!